Hi, and welcome back. This is the plant-based quick cooking show where we always only use 7 ingredients or less in 30 minutes or less. And we come to you every Tuesday from the Center for Plant-Based Living, which, by the way, if you didn't know by now, is the nation's first plant-based nutrition and culinary education center, right here in the center of the country, St. Louis, Missouri. All right, this week, we are making roasted balsamic onions. 2 ingredients, super easy, sort of quick. All right, first thing we're gonna do, because we kind of have to get this going, is we're gonna use balsamic vinegar, and just a regular balsamic vinegar. This is from Trader Joe's. I don't care if it costs $2 or $102, does not matter. What we're going to do is we're going to slightly reduce this so it's a little bit thicker. We're going to use 2 versions of this. Stick with me, we'll get there. I have added about 1/3 of a cup of this balsamic vinegar, and I've turned my my stove top or my burner onto low about, yeah. You don't want to reduce this too quickly, and when you do this, make sure that you have an overhead fan or something going on, because it can really be pretty pungent. So we're going to let this condense down just a little bit, by like 1/3, until it starts to coat the back of our spoon, and we'll get there in just a second. I'm actually starting to see a little bit of smoke come out now. We'll just keep an eye on it. And I'm down, this burner goes up to a 10 for the highest, and I'm on number 3 right now. So if you start seeing a little bit too much smoke, just pull your heat down just a little bit. You kind of want to do, you want this to be pretty slow. You want to do a slow reduction, if you will. Okay, now take your onions. If you love white onions or yellow onions or red onions, doesn't matter. I like to do a mix of both. And we're just going to cut them up, just give them kind of a rough, big chop. Remember, hold your knife, pinch, pinch, wrap your hand around. And take your onion, and we're just going to cut off the ends. And you know I like to have my little trash bowl. And then we're going to, so now we have 2 flat surfaces, and just put your onion down on one of those flat surfaces and cut all the way through so that you have this half moon, and then take off the outermost skin. And on the other side as well. And I'm just going to cut this in 2 places just so that we have some larger chunks. And then find a bowl, just kind of a large mixing bowl, and drop it in, and whatever comes apart, comes apart. You don't want really big chunks, but if you have some that are like 3 and 2 and 3 layers thick, great. That's a little guy. And sometimes if you don't cut far enough into the onion, they're connected at the top, and you don't want that. So, whoa. All right, that's one. We'll do it again with our red onion. Cut off both of the ends. Put them in our little trash or compost bowl. Cut half moons. Okay. And our final one, I'm gonna give it 2 slices. That one didn't fall apart. Sometimes you have to give them a little bit of help, and that's okay. Doesn't really matter what size or shape they are. Somewhat uniform, please, but you'll see that they don't need to be. We'll get those guys in there. And our last one. All right, so we have our onions. And this is reducing really very nicely. So what we're looking for is kind of a thinned out, consistency wise, kind of a thinned out maple syrup. So definitely not as thick as maple syrup for this one. We're gonna do it some more in just a minute. We're gonna reduce a little bit more in just a minute after this. Okay, so you can see it's kind of coating the bottom of the pan, if you can see that. But the true test is to take a spoon, and if it starts to coat the back of your spoon, and this is doing a good job. It's pretty translucent, but I can see here that it is coating the back of the spoon. Much more so than if it was just the regular liquid out of the bottle. You wouldn't be able to see anything, but it's hanging on there a little bit, and that's really what we want. So what I'm going to do is put it over our onions. Okay. And because this is pretty hot, I'm going to use some tongs. If you let it cool for just a minute or so, it'll start to thicken up even more, and you can use your hands in there. Then line a pan with parchment paper and transfer all of your onions onto the pan. Now I don't throw everything on here because I don't want all of the all that liquid on here. But some are kind of concave and some are convex. Is that right? It's from like 6th grade. Where did I dig that up? They can lay any way they want on this pan. It does not matter. Just make sure they're not overlapping. Okay. These are such, I mean, I'll tell you what, this makes it really easy to eat onions if it weren't easy enough. I could easily go through 2 and 3 onions at one time after these are all cooked up. They're so delicious. Okay, now we've got our onions. So good. And, do please make sure that your oven is preheated to, I think that our recipe says 425 convection. If you don't have convection, just regular is just fine. Okay, now I'm going to throw these in the oven. Okay, and then with the rest of your balsamic, if you've used everything in your pan on your onions and you don't have anything left, no big deal. Just let's start all over and add a little bit more, probably another 1/3 of a cup or so to your pan. And all you're going to do is reduce even more. So you're going to make this really nice, beautiful, beautiful thick glaze. You can buy the glaze at the grocery store, but why? It's always so much more expensive. Usually it has additives. Why not just pay $2 or $3 for a bottle and make your own? And when you make your own, you're not going to get a whole lot. This is nearly another bottle that I emptied into this saucepan and slowly let it reduce over about a half hour or so. And this is all I got. But that's okay, because really you hardly need any. So what you do is, after your onions are ready, and this is what we have, these beautiful, beautiful grilled or roasted onions. To give them a real punch, add a little bit of your reduction. Now your reduction is going to be really, really thick. And you certainly don't need to do this if you feel like this is enough of the balsamic for you. Great, dig in. But if you want just a little bit more, like, look how thick that is. And you certainly, I mean, really, you don't need a whole lot. Like, that's all I'm going to do. You can keep this in the refrigerator for months. Put it in a jar or some kind of sealed container and put it with the rest of your condiments. I mean, this stuff is fantastic. So over any kind of grilled vegetables, even if you don't grill them in the roasted balsamic or the balsamic, and you just want to top any kind of vegetable, it makes a fantastic little dish, side dish. Oh my gosh, they're so easy to eat. All right, I'm going to dig in. Thank you for joining us. This was a super, super, super quick recipe. I know, only 2 ingredients. Next week, I'm not even going to tell you what we're doing next week, but I know that it's a good one. Do stay in touch. I hope to see you online, and I will see you next Tuesday. Take good care. Thanks for being with me today.